Greetings and welcome back to our channel. I'm Jerry, founder of Culinary Analytics, and today we're going to walk through how to actually analyze your food business. So, honestly, all food-based businesses are roughly the same thing, right? Well, at least on paper. The math the same, at least it should. And then, so the only real differences that you have is like what's the product itself that you're selling and the culture in which you created as the owner to sell that product. And so we're really talking about what's the product market fit and then the retention of your staff. Today, we're going to lean more into the business side of things. And I like to think of it as like there's this manual way, and then there's the culinary analytics way. And we're going to walk through a little bit of both of those. So, the thing that got me into this business, into this space, was that I was doing some consulting. And in doing this consulting, I found like a series of similar problems amongst friends and acquaintances who was in the food space, right? They didn't know where all their money was going. They didn't have a proper plan to track it all. And if they did or was trying to track it, they had multiple systems that they were trying to stitch together to get the insights in which they need. They developed this habit where they just did the same thing every day, and ultimately was trying to figure out exactly how and where all the money went, right? Missing inconsistent recipes. There was no KPIs, which is key performance indicators. And if you know, like I know, we measure what we manage, or we manage what we measure. And so if you don't actually do any measurements in the form of KPIs, then you're not going to manage your business properly. There were inaccurate or inappropriate, or let's say inaccurate accounting procedures, like a bookkeeping, overscheduling, and then there was the other things that they were dealing with: rising food costs, rising payroll costs, expenses, rent expenses. And then the unspoken one that I ran into quite a bit was the owner's ego. And look, I appreciate you giving me this space to say that out loud, because it's one of the things that I run into frequently when engaging with owners is that they believe that they're doing the best that can be done, not the best that they can do. And although we all, and what I like to express is that we all have our own individual limitations as well as I do. So I'm speaking from my 24 years running multiple multi-million dollar operations and an analyst writing billion-dollar budgets that I then spent off into creating culinary analytics that would help business operators and owners make better, more informed decisions and ultimately become more profitable. So, things that you're going to need in order to actually be a great operator, right? You're going to need the data from the POS system. And, like, believe it or not, this is a snippet from something, but believe it or not, this is 17,000 rows that we're going to talk through today. But this may be extremely difficult for you to get depending on what POS system you have. Understand the hours of operations. We need recipes. Recipes is the only way to truly get your food costs under control and really understand it. And then there's some technical skills you're going to need. So we're going to walk through the technical skills I use through this presentation, which is my Excel skills and math skills. You can also do this in Python if you know how to code, which I do, but I mean, it wasn't very difficult to do in Excel. It just takes time. And then otherwise, you can use Culinary Analytics system that does all this manual stuff we're going to walk through today. It does it for you. So we're going to start by financial modeling. And what we want to understand is that what is the frequency in which our customers visit us? Um, how much are we anticipating to make from their visits? And then where does all the dollars go? And so I built this three. You see the red, green, and yellow as like bad, better, best in terms of how you measure or compare yourself to industry standards in operations. And so this operation here does north of about $650,000 a year. And you can see that you can go from making almost 230,000 or losing 80. And it's really about how do you control the different controllables in your business, right? You really can't control rent once you sign the lease. You can't control your loan. Your repairs you can't really control. You can predict and try to budget for them. Insurance rates. So there's a host of things that you have absolutely no control over. But the things in which you do, they make up the primary expenses in your business, like your cost of goods. So you can spend 30, 35, 40% on goods. You can spend 25, 30, or 40% on payroll. And if you're performing in the worst brackets, you're going to do all this work and exert all this energy only to lose money. And so this way, what we've done here is identified our average item price. We have a frequency chart here, the average daily transactions that we can actually predict out. about what we're going to do each day of the week. And then from that, we can extrapolate out into seeing what are we going to spend in cost of goods and payroll. So further digging into this, so when we talk about spending in cost of goods, um, we're able to build a frequency of like what are those items we selling, what we selling most of, what do we sell the least of, and then we want to focus our attention on the top 20% items that produce 80% of your sales. This comes from the Pareto distribution principle. All these graphs and insights that you're seeing was all gotten taken from that 17,000 rows of Excel sheet data, which represents about 2 years of business. So we go further to say, okay, so now we know about what we're going to do in sales. What does that payroll look like? What are the hours we're going to use? And how are we going to build out that schedule from that perspective, right? And so that's what this next chart gets into. It's like our good, better, bad, better, best in terms of scheduling and understanding the payroll spend. And so we have anywhere from 164 to 280 hours, and this is really hinged upon your how complex your operation is, and really how organized your operation is, right? So there's really about focusing and understanding that your operation, as we leaned into earlier a little bit when we talked about the owners coming in and doing the same thing, but the same work is required, but managing the resources to do the work is what the thing that should change. And so think about it like this: your employees come to work every day and they're putting together the same puzzle. And if they're really good, dialed in, and effective, they could put together that puzzle and you can spend about 25% of your payroll doing it. But if you have high turnover because you don't have systems in place, then you can see yourself easily at 30, 40% payroll because you have to then hire more people to do things. You're telling everybody what to do. They're standing around and waiting. There's a whole host of things, right? Just using the law of averages, you'll be using the same payroll on Wednesday as you did on Saturday. And if you remember our graph, our frequency of customer traffic, if you did that, you'll be overstaffed on Wednesday and understaffed on Saturday. And that's something that we just can't have happening in your operations if you want to maximize profitability. So when we talked about organizing the work, that's when we lean into like, so how do we determine how much of what we're going to produce and who's going to do what with what we have produced? And so here we go into like, this is the importance of having recipes. And so in this project, when I was working with my first client, actually, I built out these scalable recipes. And what they were able to do is just type in a quantity that they anticipate doing in sales for that day. Then it scales the recipe, adjusting all the individual ingredients quantities, and then is able to aggregate it, as you see in the bottom right corner, into total quantity needed to do the business. And if you tie in a food cost, item cost, you can actually build out this to where you see exactly what you're going to spend for your purchases for tomorrow, today. And in doing so, you can look at, let's say we was planning on doing Thursday's business, then you can really line up what you're going to spend with your projected doing business and really control your cost of goods and operations. And so you can totally do all this by yourself manually. You saw the sheets, I built them out. Heck, I can give them to you if you want. Just book a quick a demo and I can send these Excel sheets over to you so you can play around with yourself. Or you can walk through a demo and really understand how we built this amazing POS system that does all of what you just seen just by ringing up one customer. So every time that you ring in a customer, those rows of data is accumulated, and then our system brings it to life. So, like I said, you can do this all yourself, or you can allow our system to aggregate the data and provide you the deepest data-driven restaurant insights for your maximum operation efficiency and profitability. So you saw me talk to you a little bit about the Excel sheet and plugging in the actual these numbers to get the recipes to scale and all these additional insights. Well, our system, we designed it with machine learning predictive model that actually takes your recipes, each individual POS item. It then predicts out what we think you're going to do and sell the next day. And we actually have this set up to where you could do it for 3 days. That way it depends on how frequently you actually do orders. But you can then see given other data points, does this prediction make sense? Do I have anything special going on where I know that there's somebody who wanted more best eggs Benedicts? There's a group coming over, whatever. And so then you just easily increase the servings yourself to the number in which you want, hit submit. You do this for every item on your menu, and ultimately you brings you to a point where you actually have that scale recipes and a order guide for you for the next day or next 3 days, depending on how you want to manage your purchasing. So there you have it. I want to thank you for your time, for spending your time with me today. If you want to actually connect further, you can book your free demo. It's the QR code with the dinosaur. And if you want to dig in deep and ask more questions about the system, scan the QR code with the logo in the middle. You can actually interact with our chat bot and it will provide you more insights. You can look at our pricing and things of that nature. So I look forward to connecting you and help you become a more profitable operation. Thank you for your time.